another video today of somebody talking shit asking about where Kamala is at.
Where the fuck is Kamala?
And I have one question for them. Like, how many times have you been fired from a job and then show up the next day to help out for free? Like, be for real. I mean, find something to do, brother.
We better not see her fucking ass in 2028 running for office.
Why do you have smoke for her when you don't have smoke for your Latino representatives? You haven't gone after Ted Cruz or Mark Rubio. You haven't gone after them, but you keep going after her? Kick rock.
All right, where is Kamala Harris? This is the question I posed a couple of days ago, and
she's minding her black ass business, Phoenix.
Okay, but where is Kamala Harris right now? When you have people like AOC, Bernie Sanders,
minding her motherfucking black woman business. Resting. The fuck?
My thing is, stop asking where the fuck Kamala Harris is. She could have been in the Oval Office. Have you called your senator? Have you called your fucking representative? Or is it just Kamala Harris that you're calling for?
Stay quiet. We are seeing organizations stay quiet. We are seeing those who are capitulating to clearly unconstitutional threats. And these are the things that we are witnessing each day in these last few months in our country. And it understandably creates a great sense of fear. Because, you know, there were many things that we knew would happen. Many things. I'm not here, so I told you so.
She called it.
I swore I wasn't going to say that. But I'll say this. Fear has a way of being contagious. Yeah. Okay. When one person has fear, it has a way of spreading to those around them and spreading. And we are witnessing that, no doubt. But I say this also, my dear friends. Courage is also contagious. Courage is also contagious.
Imagine if I had done any of this. Let me just, I just want to be clear about this. Imagine that Imagine if I had pulled Fox News' credentials from the White House press corps. You're laughing, but no, this is what's happening. Imagine if I'd said to law firms that were representing parties that were upset with policies my administration had initiated, that you will not be allowed into government buildings. We will punish you economically for dissenting from the Affordable Care Act or the Iran deal. We will ferret out students who protest against my policies. It's unimaginable that the same parties that are silent now would have tolerated behavior like that from me, or a whole bunch of my predecessors. So, and I say this not on a partisan basis. This has to do with something more precious, which is, who are we as a country and what values do we stand for?
Message out there for all you black people. I need you to stay away.
No, seriously, on April 5th, do not go to DC. It is a trap. Let us handle it. We fucked up here. Black women, especially, y'all came out and showed out for Kamala Harris. Black men, y'all need to come to Jesus meeting, but please still don't go to the Capitol on April 5th. Thank you.
It's on April 5th. 1 million people.
Sit your black ass down.
Black people in America, stay your ass in the house April 5th. I'm hearing there's supposed to be millions of people marching. Stay in the house. And this is why nobody can ever tell me that TikTok is not symbolism. It's more than an app. It's literally a time. Every time they say, oh, they're going to do some shutdown or they're going to have a meeting about it, some big phenomenon happens in America. Okay, let me get this straight though, right? We already got the history of the Passover. The Israelites, they were freed, right? So you mean to tell me millions of people are going to go marching when they can literally set martial law into place right before Stay in the house. We will not be the lamb that gets sacrificed this go round. All right, okay? Because let me tell you something. They talking about they had to sacrifice the blood of the lamb. What is a lamb? A baby sheep. What are God's people? Sheep. Like I said, we won't be the people that sacrifice this go round. All right. Stay quiet, stay indoors, and don't even interact. All right?
So on April the 5th, it's supposed to be like a world march. You know what I'm saying? Because of what's going on in the world right now. Black people. No, we already had this conversation. Don't you take your tail and go march nowhere. We are on nap session. We don't have no capes. Okay? We ain't captain saving nobody. Okay? We ain't going. Do you understand what I'm saying? We ain't going. Don't go outside. Go ahead, go in the house. Get your meal together. Cook what you gonna cook for that night, that day, whatever. But don't you go nowhere marching. And if somebody say, "Can you come?" No, we can't come with you, baby. We been marching for a long time. Tag you with. We ain't doing it. You understand what I'm saying to you? Okay? You stay in the house. This ain't our fight. We've been fighting for some years, but I ain't gotta say how many years. Okay? We ain't got nothing to do with this. We done, baby. We finished. All right? Tag, y'all turn. Black people, I love you. You know what to do. Bye.
We are not fucking around, okay? Continue to do your line dances. Continue to put your food on the grill. Continue to season that meat, okay? And we're gonna watch from afar, okay? It is so easy for them to declare martial law, and they choose not to do that. All the bullshit that's going on right now, they should have been called martial law to get them motherfuckers out the office. But since they haven't, black people, keep y'all's asses in the house, mind your fucking business, continue to do your line dances, get you even a glass of wine. Matter of fact, get you a shot of tequila, right? And you mind your black ass business, because we don't got shit to do with what's going on in this world today. We have already tried to save them. They wasn't going. They betrayed us. So let them motherfuckers stand on the front line, okay? Let them stand on the front line, because they're not going to slaughter us and our kings and our queens and our babies. That's what the fuck they're not going to do, okay? So mind your black ass business. Continue to do your line dance. It's senior years. It's senior time. So get the babies ready for senior prom. Do what we gotta do. We not minding these white folks out here. Let them motherfuckers go on front line, because this is what they voted for. Remember, we didn't vote for this shit. Stay blessed. Keep your eyes on the prize and get your motherfucking popcorn.
So you see, that's what was going around TikTok for the past 2 weeks. People saying do not go out on April 5th if you are black. Stay home, mind your business, put down the capes. Let the other folks go out there and protest and march. Let the Venezuelans and the Cubans who are upset and mad about TPS, let them be out there marching. Let the white farmers who are upset that they fucked around and found out because they voted against their best interests, let them go out there and march. You know, just stay home, okay? So The protests went on not only around the country, but it ended up going on around the world globally. And here in the Twin Cities, they were marching at the Capitol. Like I said, I stayed in the house. I did go to the garden center to pick up a few more seedlings because I'm not playing about starting this garden, honey. And I played in the dirt all day Saturday, okay? So we're going to go ahead and watch some of these protests that are coming from around the world and in the Twin Cities while we sit back and sip our tea, okay?
The sounds of protests happening across the country, massive protests aimed at pushing back against what organizers are calling a, quote, hostile takeover of American rights and freedoms by President Donald Trump and Elon Musk. You're looking at video showing protesters lined up along the sidewalk in West Palm Beach on Saturday. And it wasn't just West Palm. Thousands of people coming together on the north and south sides of PGA Boulevard and Palm Beach Gardens as well. This is part of a nationwide movement called Hands Off. Nearly 600,000 people have already signed up, with some protests even happening overseas. The group behind the movement, a coalition led by Indivisible, says they're demanding an end to what they call billionaire corruption, as well as cuts to programs like Social Security and Medicaid. People across South Florida and the country are making their voices heard after President Donald Trump's latest tariffs went into effect that places a 10% tax on all imported goods. ABC's Dave Packer has more on the response to the Trump administration's latest round of tariffs.
Demonstrations coast to coast, from D.C. to Boston to Texas and California, protesting President Trump's policies and billionaire Elon Musk, hours after 10% tariffs covering most goods entering the U.S. took effect. This was the scene in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Education, huge.
Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, veterans' rights, everything, LGBTQ
all
community.
the yes.
Everybody's threatened, and this is not the America I love. What happened to our ideals and the balance of power, the three checks and balances?
ABC's Christiane Cordero was at the National Mall in Washington, D.C.
Hands off are the two words that's bringing everyone out here, and that's serving as a springboard for any of the many issues they care about. Throughout the day today, we have seen signs that say, hands off our schools, hands off our bodies, hands off our Social Security. It seems everyone out here has a message about what they consider government overreach.
The White House has not commented on the demonstrations. The First Lady's office has rescheduled planned spring garden tours to Sunday as a precautionary measure due to the nearby protests. The president's tariff rollout sent markets plunging. Thursday and Friday were the worst 2 days on Wall Street since the early days of the pandemic. Most economists warn U.S. consumers should brace for higher prices and disruptions. The president is adamant the tariffs will bring home jobs and business. Posting on social media, Americans should hang tough, and it won't be easy, but the end result will be historic.
I think it's still a little uncertain of exactly how that's all going to shake out, but I think initially the markets are not responding favorably to those tariffs.
Hundreds of thousands of Americans have joined nationwide protests against President Donald Trump's trade tariffs and the radical shakeup of U.S. politics driven by his administration. Hands-off rallies have been held in all 50 states. There's growing public anger at Trump's policies as well as Elon Musk's cost-cutting campaign.
It was the largest single day of protest since President Donald Trump returned to office in January. Under the banner Hands Off, opponents of Trump's policies rallied, from critics of his economic policies to those concerned about civil rights to climate activists in towns and cities in all 50 states, from New York's Fifth Avenue.
I feel horrible. We immigrants are getting deported. The president's so worried about 0.1% of the population, transgender people, but he doesn't care about the economy, he doesn't talk about lowering prices, inflation.
To Charlotte, North Carolina.
Our science!
I'm here today as a person with a disability to stand up for all the 70 million people in America who receive disability, who receive Medicaid.
Girl, now you know you're not supposed to be there, sis. Come on now.
Medicaid or Medicare, they are important. Their voice is important.
In Houston, Texas, people came out in defiance of a tornado warning.
always going to be the darkness.
I'm here today to say hands off of our democracy, hands off of our rights, hands off of our futures. I was a little afraid today that the weather might scare people from coming out, but I was so delighted to see that everyone braved the rainy weather and came out to fight for our democracy.
In the capital, Washington, D.C., demonstrators congregated on the National Mall.
We object to the everything that Donald Trump is doing, basically in terms of his power grab and all the damage he's doing to the economy and to democracy.
In a nation as divided as the United States, the hands-off organizers managed to bring together a wide range of those unhappy with the government. From civil rights organizations, to army veterans, to LGBTQ groups, to climate activists. They all had one message for the man in the Oval Office.
This is what democracy looks like. What democracy looks like.
For that better day to come, I will not be silent.
They got folks in Portugal protesting. It's that crazy.
I will not be silent.
Hundreds of thousands across the globe are taking part in demonstrations today against US President Donald Trump and his close ally, Elon Musk.
I will not be silent. I will not be silent. Opposition?
Titled Hands Off, the movement aims to protest Trump and Musk's policies on government downsizing, the economy, human rights, and a host of other issues. In Frankfurt, demonstrators marched through the city center with signs. And in Berlin, they gathered outside a Tesla showroom. A group gathered for a demonstration also in downtown Lisbon.
Freedom is at stake in the United States and for the whole world with what Donald Trump is doing. And we need to stand up. We need to raise our voices. We need to be heard. We need to make sure that everybody knows that we will not accept this type of injustice.
I will not be silenced.
Trump government is taking the USA into basically Germany of the 1930s. It's that simple. He's attacking the press. He's attacking universities. He's trying to tell people what they should teach their children in school. He's taking money from Social Security, from Medicare. People are going to be hungry, they're going to be sick and not be able to get medical treatment. He is destroying, ignoring due process. He is kidnapping legal residents off the streets and deporting them without any hearing whatsoever by a judge, by the courts, and admitting that they have not broken any laws.
Enjoy it as very privileged Westerners, and it continues to threaten people in other countries around the world. It's not a question of location, it's a question of principle.
Voice heard on everything from tariffs, Elon Musk's role in the government, and Trump's immigration policies.
I think it's important, especially as a woman and a person of color, to show up and stand for our rights.
I'm extremely frustrated, and we have to be the people to make the change.
This was the largest protest in Minnesota since Trump took office again in January. It featured speeches from U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar and Minnesota Senate Majority Leader Aaron Murphy.
And I want to make sure that my kids and my grandkids someday look back and say, what did my mom do when we faced that challenge?
For some, the choices being made by the Trump administration hit on a more personal level.
I'm a former Marine. I think that cutting 83,000 jobs out of the VA is a very bad idea for our veterans, who we should be supporting.
Brian Ashley has attended multiple protests against Trump since his inauguration, in part because he feels fundamental aspects of democracy are at risk.
Hands off our Social Security. Hands up, hands up, hands up. Yes, yes.
Hundreds of protests are taking place right now across the country. Demonstrators telling the Trump administration, quote, hands off.
I stand with many millions of Americans that want to see the end of a dictatorship that's starting to take away all of our democratic rights, fundamental institutions, jobs, health care, education, and everything else that we've come as Americans to love and appreciate.
I see this administration dismantling democracy in ways large and small. I see the people who are resisting, not resisting, that should be, is basically Congress. And it's upsetting.
Watching my 403B evaporate in the last 2 days.
Girl, now you know you're not supposed to be out there.
And it's pretty hurtful to see minority history just being erased. It's pretty sickening.
So you're hearing that the hands-off April 5th protests yesterday were so peaceful and everything was great and there was like no violence, no escalation, and that it was also predominantly white people, predominantly white women. Here's the thing. Here's the really important point. It is not that the people who were in attendance yesterday, right, the predominantly white people, the predominantly white women, are inherently more peaceful and law-abiding, and they just know how to do it, right? That's not the reality, okay? It is because they were met with a different level of force, being none, like a lack thereof, as opposed to when movements are predominantly about and backed up by people of color, right? Queer people, especially black people, especially black women. They are met with a different level of force, not only by police, but by like random conservative militia groups that were showing up every single day at the BLM protests. Like, there is a stark difference, not in the way in which the protesters are protesting, but a stark difference in the way in which power and force and violence, especially state-sanctioned, is responding to the protests themselves.
So while most people was out protesting for what they believed in yesterday, there was some other things transpiring out there in the streets. Well, I say damn. But as always, when one thing happens, sure enough, something else comes right behind it. Y'all see that shit? Talking about 911. But you got that thing. As many believe that this is just the beginning of the protest, some are actually wondering how far is America willing to go? With over 6 million people showing up nationwide to all 50 states, I don't believe these protests are gonna stop anytime soon. As they always say, stand up for what you believe in.
All our savings are gone. I had it in stocks. It's hopeless. There's no hope for this country. I want to move to China.
Demonstrators across the country are coming out in full force in protest of President Trump's administration and Elon Musk. I'm here in Washington, D.C., where we've chatted with several today about what brought them out. And it wasn't just Democrats.
I stand with many millions of Americans that want to see the end of a dictatorship that's starting to take away all of our democratic rights.
People are scared to speak out. I know people who were scared to come to the rally today because they didn't know what might happen to them.
Because I vote for Trump, it's not what I vote for. He's doing all these wrong things.
We spoke with protesters about who they think the leader of the resistance is now. And while there was no clear consensus, several lawmakers came out and spoke in support of today's hands-off rally. Based on our conversations with protesters here, while the words are nice, they are looking for action.
People who are resisting, not resisting, that should be, is basically Congress, and it's upsetting.
For now, we're kind of just stuck with Bernie, AOC.
Democrats, like our Democratic senators or representatives, they're not on the same level in terms of wealth as everybody else. They're not going to really want to give up their jobs or their power.
Yesterday was one of the largest collective organizing efforts in American history.
Millions of people, and I'm talking millions. Some estimates are saying upwards of 5 million people showed up to 1,800 different protests yesterday in all 50 states and some U.S. territories to say, hands off our democracy. What I find very interesting about yesterday, though, is the utter lack of police presence. These protests were largely made up of Caucasian women. That was the main demographic in almost every single demonstration. And the cops stayed home. There were not clouds of tear gas. There weren't rubber bullets flying everywhere. And what I mean when I point that out is the fact that white women need to step it up. We have been riding on the shoulders of BIPOC people, specifically black women, to progress our society forward for far too long. And I'm so glad yesterday went the way it did, but we need to keep this momentum going and keep showing up to these events.
And this is why it was important for black people, especially black women, to sit it out and allow white women to have their own fight, okay? What she's saying is definitely spot on, because a lot of white women have benefited from the backs of, black women protesting, because a lot of them thought that they weren't DEI until they started losing their jobs, and they realized you got your job because you was DEI too, okay? So I like that. I like the fact that she's saying that we need to step it up as white women. We need to step up and protest. There were no tear gas, no rubber bullets, no dogs out there, no water hoses, none of that shit. We were allowed to protest peacefully, and we need more of that. All right, sis, go ahead and continue.
The complete lack of police presence yesterday was not an accident. It was not an accident. That is what happens when white people decide to collectively organize. That is what happens when you weaponize your white privilege in order to push our society forward for all people. If you did show up to one of the protests yesterday, hell yeah. And I'm so proud of everybody. If you didn't, make plans, babes. There's more coming. Make plans, get a protest buddy, and get your signs ready, because we have to keep this momentum going.
So one of my coworkers asked me, Asia, are you gonna be out there tomorrow? Talking about for the protest. I said, no ma'am, I won't. I won't, but I support, I love. And she was like, why not? And I was like, see, here's the thing. My protest has to look different, because once black people show up to a protest, it becomes a riot. And it was like watching her do American math in real time. Cause she was like, well, it's not gonna be a riot. But I said, when black people are involved, it goes from a simple protest to a riot that must be stopped. She was, I could see the wheels turning, and she was like, oh my God, you're right. Somebody's gotta say something. I said, yeah, we have tried. But somebody has to be someone else. And in my head, I was like, yeah, I know. So I won't be there. But I'm totally for you. Enjoy.
So if you know me, you know that I will heed to the assignment, but I'm going to be a little nosy. I was out doing my workout, y'all. I promise that's all I was doing. They told me to sit my black ass down, and I promise you I am. I'm just here walking around doing my workout, as you can see. Ain't no marching for me with these folks. Like Marshawn Lynch said, I'm just here so I won't get fined. So if anyone picks on my IP address, I'm not here to march. I am here to work out. I'm doing my shit. I do want to say, as I stand in front of the Capitol, black folks got the assignment. There are maybe 3, 4 that I've seen. 3 or 4, maybe 5 black folks here. Y'all got the assignment.
Keep it up! We won't be there, but y'all keep it up! We appreciate it! But we ain't coming! But we love you! But we ain't doing it!
1 million people are going to march in the United States on April 5th. 1 million people.
Sit your black ass down.
Black people understood the assignment.
Y'all didn't show up to any of those protests that happened throughout the country yesterday. You didn't see police dressed in riot gear. You know why? Because we weren't there. We understood the assignment. We stood down. We stayed home. We watched from the sideline. We rooted for you guys, but we rooted from the sidelines. We saw you on the social media platforms. We saw you on the news channels. But we did not engage, because had we engaged, there would have been police in riot gear. There would have been something declared, and it's called martial law.